So I got some things to address real quick here. I haven't uploaded in 2 weeks. Oops. We've been moving into a new place. Obviously, still looks like the same background. We're taking a basement out of the apartment. We're just renovating it a little bit, cleaning it up. Maybe not renovating because that's illegal. It's going to look nice. I'm going to have a whole little setup. There's a back wall that's just white. I think I'm going to hang my Tatum banner there in the background, the jersey, maybe frame it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm working on a setup there. I got to record a ton of stuff because I'm not sure when we're going to have internet. I got to set all that stuff up. So I just need to get a ton of videos banked so that I can just edit them today. Anyway, that's going on right now. I just finished up finals for college. So it's just been a really hectic last 2 weeks. The place that we were trying to move into got taken because the people that were currently living there didn't want to move out. And then we had to find a new place in the same area. It's whatever. It was a mess. We're good now. Everything's good now. But yeah, it's been a minute since I have recorded one of these. I did record one, but then I just didn't edit it. I just didn't make the time. So a lot's happened since I last recorded. The entire first round is over now. I don't really want to spend too much time on it because I did record an episode already about this that obviously just never went live. I'll just recap the series real quick. Celtics beat the Heat in 5. I called that. I also called the Nuggets over the Lakers in 5. The Knicks won in 6, like I predicted as well. Yeah, I had the Wolves in 7 over the Suns. They won in 4. I had the Bucks in 6 over the Pacers. They actually lost to the Pacers in 6. Cavs and the Magic. I had the Magic in 7. The Cavs won in 7. That was a good series. I really enjoyed that one. Honestly, that was probably one of my favorites. And now we're in the second round. I think I missed... Right, and then OKC, I had that series going 6. Obviously, they swept the Pelicans. Mavs, Clippers, Mavs in 6. I called that too. All of that was in the last episode, ways back. If you did want to go check that out, I made all those predictions and I broke everything down. I wish that I didn't waste. I should have uploaded the recap that I already did about those series, but I mean, it was pretty cut and dry. It wasn't anything crazy. I made second round predictions. I got to check my Twitter because that's where I posted them. I'll probably throw a photo of them right here or something. So after Minnesota takes game 1, I have Nuggets in 7, Mavs in 6, Knicks in 5, and Celtics in 6. Knicks are up 2-1, Celtics are up 2-1, Mavs are up 2-1, and Minnesota's up 2-1. So everyone's up 2-1, which is nice. I'm glad there's nobody up 3-0. I want to see good series. Denver losing the 2 at home was scary, but then they just blew out Minnesota. That helped me kind of be all right, cool. Nuggets in 7 is possible. Mavs in 6. It's been Mavs in 6. It was Mavs in 6 against the Clippers. I think the Mavericks are probably going to match up with Denver in the conference finals and get the Luka Jokic matchup. I think the NBA really wants that. So, I mean, again, Anthony Edwards is a superstar, and I love him. I don't love the discourse, but I have to separate the fans from the player. I think people need to do that with Jason Tatum a little bit because they hate his fans a lot more than they hate him, which it's bro, that's not an excuse to hate a player, I don't like Steph Curry fans. That doesn't mean that Steph Curry is inherently bad. Steph Curry is bad because he doesn't support affordable housing, but that's not a thing that his fans are responsible for, right? He's a bad person on his own, right? I don't know. I just think it's funny. It's probably more his wife than him, but just people trying to build affordable housing in California, and they're we don't want the poors in our backyard. What? Bro, come on. I know that's not the verbatim quote, but that's essentially what they said. So whatever. I just want to recap these 4 series right now so far. And I will kind of allude back to the first round series for who won those series. So it's going to be a pretty spread out show, I think. I'm just going to go on a bunch of tangents. I'm going to start with Nuggets Wolves. I was already kind of talking about Anthony Edwards. He's amazing. He's a great basketball player. Genuinely, he says the right things to the media. He is going to be big. He's probably already what Dwayne Wade was, for the league standpoint. When we go circling back, looking at Anthony Edwards and how he's played against the Nuggets, it's very clear that they need him to be aggressive. He said it after game 3 of I didn't start the game out right. He didn't have a bad game. He shot pretty efficiently, but you can tell when Anthony Edwards is on his superstars play like a coasting level and then a ramped up level. Like, if you don't know that, your player's not a superstar. Like, I watched Jason Tatum sleepwalk through the first round of the playoffs, getting, turning it on a little bit when he needed to here and there. But mostly he's just settling for tough jumpers, same way that Luka does a lot of the time. And so then when you look at the two of them, you're like, all right, well, when they have a bad shooting night, it's not really that they're missing open shots so much as they're settling for bad shots, which inherently does not make them a bad player. You know what I mean? It's not like they're missing good opportunities. It's just the defense is so locked in on them. Like, they're seeing 2 or 3 guys that they can't really do anything other than put up shots like that. Like, you have to shoot over the defense when they build a wall, right? Like, that doesn't work against guys like Luka or Tatum because those guys have at least some level of ability to space the floor. When Jason Tatum is downhill attacking the basket, that's as unstoppable as you're going to see him. He can also do the post fades. He's pretty good in the post. His post work is substantially better than years past, and that's why he hasn't had a really bad playoff game yet. None of his playoff games have been outstanding. Obviously, he had 33 last night against the Cavs to go up 2-1. He had a great game, but it was like 11 of 25 shooting. Not that it was like the worst performance ever. I'm just saying, like, it wasn't anything that we're like, oh, wow, Jason Tatum just went off for 50, Like, it's a normal thing to expect out of him. But he's pretty much good for 20, 10, and 5 every night now. His playmaking, his rebounding, it's just the defense, all of the stuff that he does that aren't score the ball are just being done at such a high level by his standards that you almost just look at it and you're like, all right, well, the shot's going to fall eventually. It's like Richard Jefferson says it a lot. So does Reggie Miller, of just like, these are your superstars. They are going to figure out how to make shots. Like, when your superstar player isn't hitting shots, that's not the time when you worry. The time when you worry is when your bench guys or your supporting cast isn't hitting shots, because those guys can go cold for way longer. Regardless, again, trying to get off the Tatum tangent, back to the Nuggets-Wolves series. I like Denver's odds, obviously being the defending champs. In the bubble, when the Celtics and Heat matched up in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics took it 6. They lost in 6. They went down 3-1. But I believe it was Game 3. They were down 2-0 after blowing 2 leads in the fourth quarter, which I can't say Denver did. Denver didn't really hold the game. My point is that Boston lost in 6, but they could have easily won in 6 had they just, been calm and composed down the stretch of games, and they learned how to close games and not, blow fourth quarter leads. The Celtics have been consistently better about that this season, especially. But it even hurt them last year against Miami, and that series went 7. Obviously, they lost Game 7, but the Wolves hit them in the mouth twice. Denver came back and responded big time. We still haven't seen the max that we're going to see out of Jokic. Jokic still has a level that he can get to. Obviously, Denver is kind of in a rough position where Minnesota is the team that can guard Jokic the best. That's why you need Aaron Gordon to hit open threes like he did in Game 3. You need Jamal Murray to be an initiator. Speaking of which, I got to talk about Jamal Murray. I've never seen anything like that as an NBA fan. Someone throwing towel on the court and then throwing a heat pad on the court too. Like, why? I get that he was frustrated at the officials, and to a degree, a lot of Minnesota's success has come from the allowed physicality. People don't talk about it. The one thing that the refs do a lot to dictate a game is determine what level of physicality is acceptable. And a lot of times, certain teams get that advantage. Like, if I'm the Boston Celtics playing the Cleveland Cavaliers and the refs want to make this a closer series than it should be, if I'm the refs, I'm going to let Cleveland be more physical on defense, and I'm going to call ticky-tacks on Boston so that Boston has to let Cleveland shoot, and then Cleveland can get away with a lot more physicality on their side of the ball. Like, if you don't call the game the same way, then one team gains a competitive advantage that way. That doesn't show up in the free throws. That doesn't show up in the box score in any way. So the casual fan looks at that game, and it's like, oh, they're just crying about the refs. They shot the same amount of free throws, and the same amount of fouls were called. But it's like, there's a certain level of play that the refs allow, and it's not always the same for both teams. So I say that because I felt like Minnesota, through the 4 games against Phoenix and the first 2 against Denver, was allowed to play extremely, extremely physical basketball. It was funny. Minnesota won game one. Ant had like 43, and everyone was just like going berserk on Twitter. Again, respect the guy. I really do. I had a video when he took over against the Celtics in overtime. He's definitely seeing the floor better as a playmaker. He's not like like Jalen Green is the type of player that cannot read the floor. If he could read the floor, he would be unguardable, right? But he doesn't make those passes the way that you need him to. I restarted my computer because it looked like everything was kind of glitchy. I had to remix some recordings off of OBS anyway, so just had to like get my files right, and also plugging in my computer seems to help a lot. So anyway, I don't know where I left off, but I'm just going to wrap the Nuggets Wolves series and just say I really trust Denver a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota pulls away. Game 4 is going to be the deciding factor of this series. Denver can come back down 3-2 for sure. Like if Denver blows Game 5, it's not the end of the world. They just got to go into Minnesota and win like they did today. There's going to be a lot more games. I'm going to try and get this out. I'm actually not sure what the slate looks like today. So, oh man, I'm greasy. I need to take a shower. I like Nuggets in 7. I still like that prediction. Obviously, they went down 2-0, dropping both games at home. But Denver, they're seasoned, They needed to be woken up. And I think the Timberwolves are a great team. I could, again, absolutely could see the Timberwolves winning this in 6, honestly. But my gut says Nuggets in 7. I got to go with my gut. I think I was talking about the Jamal Murray thing real quick. Never seen that. Never seen anything like that. The fact that he didn't get suspended, honestly, is crazy. You can't throw stuff onto the court. As a fan, you would get kicked out of the game. As a player, I don't know, man. I don't want to be a nerd about it and be like the fun police. But, I don't know. Is that not objectively a dumb thing to do? Regardless, I think it's going to be a great series. Anthony Edwards is super special. If everyone loves him. And it's cool to see him get a lot of love. It's just funny when people talk about his maturity. Like he didn't shell out like $100K to pay for an abortion in December. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. To me, it's just funny because people just want to make the narrative however they want to make it. I'm really trying to learn how to let people just do that because it irritates me when people do stuff like that. They're like, oh, Anthony Edwards is the most mature young person that's ever existed. Tatum's whining about not being called a super team or not getting credited for... It's just dude, they're still human beings, okay? Ant has maturity for a 22-year-old, but again, in the last 2 seasons, we saw the homophobic Atlanta thing, and then this with the abortion, that send the video. Okay, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy that's so much more mature than everyone else. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not an Anthony Edwards hater. I swear on my life, I love his game. I've said since the beginning of the season that he's that guy. But again, you reach that point where everyone loves him. It's just going to be interesting to see if he stays a beloved star or not. Richard Jefferson was saying this on the broadcast, and I couldn't agree more with him, which is something that you don't say often about with Richard Jefferson. Donovan Mitchell, as a rookie, didn't just take his team to the playoffs, but knocked off the Thunder, who had Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and Carmelo Anthony. Everyone leaves out Carmelo Anthony, but they had Carmelo like they did. It was cool to see a rookie do stuff like that, especially for Utah, who just lost Gordon Hayward. I love Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to transfer now into the Cavs-Celtics series with that. But Donovan Mitchell is genuinely just so fun to watch. He doesn't do any of the foul baity stuff. I was watching the game, and he doesn't even push off. Tatum will sometimes extend the out. He doesn't fully, I can't get it on the camera the way I want, but he doesn't go, all the way. But a lot of times, Tatum will kind of, extend the elbow like that, and it'll be a push-off, and people get mad about that. But Donovan doesn't even do that. He did something the other day where he just put his elbow up and then went, I don't even know how you do that. He went like this, and then he, put it between his legs and crossed back. It was a sick move. And I think Donovan Mitchell has got to be everyone's most respected star. he's just a flamethrower. It's funny, I was watching the game with my girlfriend, and she's like, I don't like you. I don't like talking to Donovan Mitchell. Like, I don't like you. She's a Jaylen Brown fan. You know, she watches Celtics games with me. I love my girlfriend. She really does not like the other team's best star. And it's just funny because I'm like talking to her. I'm like, Donovan Mitchell is actually like a good guy, though. Like, he's cool. He's like this is the guy that he's just putting up shots and he's just making them, and he's just ridiculous. She's like, I don't care. He's not supposed to do that. Like, whatever. It's just funny to me because I'm just like, I remember being that way as an NBA fan when I was first starting out watching it. Like, Giannis would run over somebody and be like, oh, that's BS. I hate Giannis. It's just like, I don't know, man. You got to learn to appreciate greatness. And I think you just got to let fans kind of take their time getting to that point. But basketball is a lot more fun to watch when you appreciate both players. And Donovan Mitchell is the easiest player to appreciate. He plays the game perfectly. He's just awesome. And he's a great defender. People don't talk about it. He guarded Tatum on some possessions there, and he got him looking a lot more uncomfortable. Tatum tried to do face-up dribbles by him, and Don stripped that. So obviously Tatum being like substantially larger than Mitchell put him in the post and backed him down and kind of had his way with him after that. But it was a very, very fun game from that perspective because you watch Tatum get off to a hot start. Don is off to a hot start. They're both going back and forth. That's the type of stuff you want to see. So this Cleveland-Boston series has been awesome. I had Boston in 6. I think that's probably going to come to fruition, although I don't see them losing Game 5 at home, so it might be Celtics in 5 again. I think what it really comes down to is, do the Celtics lose Game 4 in Cleveland and let Cleveland tie the series? I know they've had their home struggles. You know, Denver just lost 2 at home to Minnesota. You know, the best teams can play on the road, and the Celtics are one of them. Obviously, you want to take care of home court advantage. You want to start every series up 2-0. If you have home court advantage, which they will the entire rest of the way, the Celtics are a team that has dug themselves holes and dug their way out of them consistently through the last sets of playoffs. They obviously can't afford to do that against the teams that are coming out of the West, whichever one that is. Those 4 teams, by the way, that is so, like, that's peak. I'm so happy because those were the 4 teams that were the top of the conference, obviously. You can say what you want about the Clippers. I think we all knew the Clippers weren't really going to do anything. I knew they weren't going to be, like, a bad team. I remember they got off to a really bad start, and I was like, all right, well, I mean, it can't be this bad. I don't think they're championship contenders, but it can't be that bad. Obviously, they get first rounded. You know, Dallas is just the better team. But against Oklahoma City, it can be argued that the Oklahoma City Thunder can pull this out in 7. I think they probably are going to lose in 6 to the Mavs. That's what I called. I'm going to switch over to that real quick. Luka Doncic and Shea are battling right now. Like, these are some, like, Western Conference battles to get to the finals. And that's kind of why I think the Celtics are going to be able to win the finals this year, just because the West has so much talent. It was kind of like the East, the year that the Golden State Warriors in 2022 won the finals. They dominated. You know, they beat Denver. I think they beat Denver in 6, but it might have been 5. And then I don't remember who they played round 2. They played Dallas round 3, though. And then obviously Boston. I don't remember. It's really hard for me to remember who the Warriors played in round 2 that year. They obviously did not have as hard of a time as Boston did. Boston obviously swept Brooklyn that year, but then they had to play the defending champion Bucks, and then they played the 1-seed Heat. So they were banged up. They went through 2 7-game series back-to-back, and they just looked gassed. They ran out of gas. That's why I'm saying it's important for Boston to put the Cavs away as early as you can. If you can do it in 5, do it in 5. I believe they'll do it in 6, but that also implies that I believe they'll lose Game 4 or Game 5 at home. I don't really like either of those chances of happening. I'd say Game 4 at home. Like, they'll probably split in Cleveland, but they weren't losing Game 3. You know what I'm saying? It would probably go Boston, Cleveland, Boston, Cleveland, Boston, Boston. Close it out in 6. We'll see. I think that would be the most entertaining series. I mean, obviously, if it went 7, that would be the most entertaining. But for my mental sanity, I would prefer it didn't. just as a Celtics fan, I would prefer if we didn't make ourselves the most anxious against Cleveland. That would not bode well. Like I said, if they're going to lose one, it's probably this next game here on Monday. We'll see. Remains to be seen. somehow I tangented out of the OKC Mavs series. It's a great series. PJ Washington is stepping up big time. It's funny, like, people get really picky about who gets to have a co-star that's going off and who doesn't. Like, whenever Tatum has Derek White drop, 30 or whatever, everyone's like, oh, Derek White. It's just like, all right, dude, like, Miami is sending 3 people at Tatum. Obviously, some guys are going to get open shots off of that. That's just how the team plays. Like, that's the part of making your team better. Luka does that. Tatum does that. The best players in the world do that. Shea does that. So to me, when a star player is not having it like going crazy, or like Aaron Gordon, right? Like Jokic, can I just say real quick, Jokic has this like really fun little pass he does. Like he'll get into the post and it looks like he's putting up a layup, but he just kind of like floats it up and Aaron Gordon's right there. And then Aaron obviously has bunnies, so he just goes up and skies for it, throws it down. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. When you look at a series like this, going back to OKC Dallas, because I keep getting off of it, it's really going to come down to who steps up outside of, Luka and Shea. Luka and Shea are your guarantees. And so you go, and they're kind of the same. Like they're equally talented players. Maybe Luka's a tier above in the regular season. His stats are amazing, but he's playing hurt right now in the playoffs. So hurt Luka and healthy Shea, you look at them. By the way, the Thunder are the only healthy team in the NBA right now. So props to them. That's pretty cool. If you look at Luka versus Shea, it's pretty even with Luka being hurt. And then you go down the list. The big 3 of OKC would be J-Dub and Chet with Shea. And then Luka's would probably be, I guess it would be Kyrie and PJ Washington. It's really going to have to be Chet. Chet is going to have to step up. Like, if you talk about the Cleveland series, Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, those are the guys, right? They need to step up, especially with the Celtics missing Porzingis. And that's something else I didn't mention. Like, the Celtics are doing this right now with no Porzingis. So I think Porzingis is going to be important in the finals. He'll probably help against New York, too, if they can get him back for that series. Don't rush him back for Cleveland. You don't need him. I think when you look at Dallas and you look at the talent they have, it just meshes. I don't know. Like, I like OKC. I like OKC a lot. They're a well-constructed team. I think Dallas has a little bit more experience. Kyrie, obviously a champion. Luka has been to the conference finals before. I trust the Mavs more than I trust the Thunder. I love the Thunder. I really do. They're a fun team. And I know OKC's not popular. I know everyone hates them because they're just best friends and whatever. No one cares about when the Knicks do it. Well, I don't know. People bully the Knicks a little bit too. I don't know. People just hate fun. NBA Twitter hates fun. I could do an hour segment on all the things that piss me off about NBA Twitter. Probably going to delete it, but it's fun to live tweet games. So I'm holding back for a little bit here. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make here is that in this type of playoff situation, who do you trust more? Jalen Williams or Kyrie Irving? I'm going with Kyrie Irving over J-Dub. I like J-Dub, but Kyrie I trust more in the playoffs, for sure. Obviously, you want to take Chet over PJ Washington, but Chet needs to step up before you can do that. It's kind of crazy to say that. Obviously, Chet has a ridiculously high ceiling. He's going to be a great player. Obviously, he's not a rookie. I already made a video a long time ago about that. I just think, in general, I trust the Mavericks. I trust them more. Even though Luka's hurt, they are a better constructed roster top down. I think they match up well. They have physical bigs. They obviously, like, the one thing I will say, Luka needs to stop complaining. It is so annoying. It's like LeBron 2.0. It's actually just embarrassing, honestly, from a standpoint, like, just the whining and the flat. Like, people complain about Tatum doing stuff like that. And again, like, everyone has Tatum rent-free in their mind. Like, I saw something today that was like, I think Paolo has a higher ceiling than Jason Tatum. It's just like, Jason Tatum is the standard now. Like, everyone wants to complain about Tatum being, like, held to this, like, whatever standard. But it's like, all everyone does is compare young and up-and-coming players to Tatum. All they do is they're like, oh, he'll be better than him. He's going to be better than Tatum, too. I remember I saw something that was like, it was, I think it was Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels were better than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Anthony Edwards isn't better than Tatum yet. He's having a better playoffs so far, but Booker had a really good playoffs last year. I think you have to take it with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, I'm going with Boston. I'm going with Boston in that situation. So, whatever. Again, I keep sidetracking. It's blah. To recap the Dallas OKC thing, I just wanted to say I really like Dallas a lot. I like what they do on both sides of the floor. I like the roles that they have. That's the one thing that I feel like the Thunder lack. Obviously, they have a hierarchy of stars. Like, it goes Chet, J-Dub, and then, it goes Shea, J-Dub, Chet, and then, down the line. Giddey, I saw someone say that Casey Wallace should come and take Giddey's spot, and Giddey should come off the bench. That's a good theory. I like that. Especially matchup-wise, right? Like Wallace guarding Kyrie and Shea guarding Luka, as opposed to Giddey out there trying to guard Kyrie. Like, Giddey can come off the bench and kind of be just like the floor general. I think that's a good role for him. It's weird because OKC almost has too much talent. Josh Giddey definitely has felt like the odd man out for a while there, but hey, I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, the only series I haven't talked about yet is Knicks Pacers. I watched, admittedly, not as much as I wanted to of this series. I did watch Andrew Nembhard hit that crazy step back. I don't think the Pacers have a chance in this series. I said Knicks in 5. Might turn out to be Knicks in 6, but the way that the refs call the game, I just don't see a world where New York, even as banged up as they are, no OG, no Randall, Mitchell Robinson came back and then is now gone again. Like, New York is limping to the finish line here. They're still doing a pretty good job. Obviously, it is Indiana, and Tyrese is, oh my God, you see him limp off the press stage? Holy moly, that doesn't look good. It's also funny, people have no conception of, like, adrenaline or, like, how if you stretch and you roll out and, like, you can get yourself right, but then after 48 minutes of basketball, obviously you probably played, like, 35 or whatever, like, you're going to be sore after. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. People just don't understand, like, athletes because they don't actually, like, work out at all or do anything. I'm not saying I'm the most consistent gym bro, obviously, but, like, I don't know. Is it really that hard to conceptualize that playing basketball is, like, really strenuous on your body? Like, all of the jumping and landing on your knees and ankles and, the running. It's exhausting. Like, it's gotta be. And I don't know how people don't understand that. Anyway, I digress. Point being, this series is very fun. Jalen Brunson's 3 at the end of Game 3 was ridiculous. That was a horrible shot. That was a very, very bad shot, unfortunately. If Indiana goes down 3-1 today, series is over. They probably bow out in 5. That's kind of what I was thinking is New York takes 2, and then, they stole one, though. Like, they really stole one at home, that's not what you want to say, Brunson could have probably gone for a quick 2, and then they play the foul game. Or he could have just not tried to flop and bait for a 3. Like, you had 16 seconds on the clock. Why are you shooting that shot? And he took accountability for that after the game. Jalen Brunson's a cool dude. He definitely tries that floppy stuff a little too much for my liking. A lot of stars in the NBA do that. It is what it is. Having said that, I really admire Jalen Brunson. I love Josh Hart, too. Dante DiVincenzo, he's going nuts. Like, nuts, bro. 30 points is not even surprising from him. He'll put up a 3, and I'd be surprised if it doesn't go in. Like, that's the next man up thing for New York, where, yeah, it would be awesome if they had Randall. Yeah, it would be awesome if, OG doesn't miss significant time. OG Anunoby is their X factor. Having him on the court, that's when they win games. Honestly, if I'm Boston, I'm not scared of New York unless OG Anunoby's on the court. So they're probably saving him just because they know they're up 2-1. They have to close out the series, though, get some rest for those guys. Obviously, if Boston closes out their series, they'll probably end up matching up at the same time. Celtics-Knicks conference finals is going to be interesting, assuming that's what happens. Obviously, anything can happen. It's basketball, but that's what I've predicted, obviously. And then, again, it would be Jokic versus Luka in the conference finals for the West. So those would both be great series. Any combination of the 4 in the West, like OKC or Dallas or, Timberwolves or Nuggets, any of those 4, I would be happy with any of those. I think Luka Jokic is the obvious one, but it's probably going to be Luka Ant just because those are like the young up and coming guys. Like young and up and coming, like mid 20. I mean, Ant is young though. He's taken over the game, so I don't know. At the end of the day, it's been a really interesting playoffs so far. Obviously, injuries are not what you want. No Jimmy Butler. Giannis never played in the Bucks series versus the Pacers, so that's kind of why I don't want the Pacers to make a deep run, because we all know that if Giannis played in any of those 6 games, they don't bow out. They didn't even have Dame and Giannis for one of those games, and that's a game when they won. That made that series a lot less interesting. Although, I gotta say again, shout out Donovan Mitchell. He's a hooper, certified hooper, big-time baller. Love that guy. I haven't said it a while, but yeah, if you guys do watch this and you want to send in an email, we've got that all down here, the socials and the email. I got the idea from Motown Noah. If you don't know who that is, check him out. He has a great show called The Coping Hour. I reference him a lot. He's definitely a big inspiration for what this show is. I don't want to copy him, obviously, but just the concept of having an email, it allows me to interact with people who watch the channel, and especially with something that's very limited right now. Obviously, don't have the subscribers or the viewers. It's something that I feel like really is easy to set up, and it's a cool way to read some. So if people do end up emailing me at some point, I am going to start reading those on the show. So yeah, take a look at that stuff if you're interested. I'm going to start walking the show back a little bit and doing like weekly episodes. I feel like I need to focus more on the 2K stuff. The show is not going to grow until I create an audience through the 2K whatever. I'm just rambling. This doesn't matter. My point is that even though this is going out, hopefully it's going out on a Sunday. If I got to it super late, it might be going out Sunday night, maybe scheduled for Monday. From here on out, those videos, this show is going to be uploaded every Saturday. That is going to be a change, and then I'm going to try and do 3 videos a week of 2K. Hopefully some of the Outlaws series. I also recorded a crazy rebuild the other day on 2K. If you do have interest in those types of things, feel free to check those out. But yeah, we will, I guess, see you guys in the next one. Take care.